She screamed, "You're an embarrassment. Do not ruin my night with your injury," as I lay waiting for surgery. I decided to document everything she said next and post it online for her friends to see. I'm Thad, 29M, been working construction supervision in Phoenix for about 8 years now, ever since I got my contractor's license. My girlfriend Brielle, 27F, works in marketing for some startup downtown, and we've been together for 18 months. She's always been really into her image and social media presence, but I thought that was just her being career-focused. 3 months ago, Brielle started planning this massive 27th birthday celebration. I'm talking about renting out the entire rooftop section of this upscale restaurant in Scottsdale, hiring a photographer, coordinating outfits with her girlfriends, the whole 9 yards. She had a Pinterest board with like 300 pins for this party. 60-plus people invited, including her work colleagues, college friends, and family. She'd been talking about it constantly, showing me inspiration photos, asking my opinion on decorations. I was actually excited to see her so happy about something. Yesterday was Friday, and her party was scheduled for Saturday night at 7 p.m. I was planning to leave work early to get ready, maybe grab her some flowers, the usual boyfriend stuff. But around 2 p.m., I was up on a ladder checking some electrical work on a commercial job site when the whole thing just gave out underneath me. My coworker Remy saw it happen, said it looked like the ladder leg hit a weak spot in the concrete and buckled. I went down hard, landed wrong, and immediately knew something was seriously fucked up with my left leg. The pain was unreal, like white-hot fire shooting up from my ankle to my hip. Remy called 911 while I laid there trying not to pass out. When the paramedics got there, they took one look and said we were heading straight to the ER. During the ambulance ride, they gave me some serious pain meds, but I could still see my leg was bent in ways legs shouldn't bend. At the hospital, they rushed me into X-rays, and then Dr. Sterling came in with this grim expression: compound fracture of both the tibia and fibula. The bone had actually punctured through the skin, which explained all the blood. He said I needed immediate surgery to set the bones and clean out the wound, plus at least a week of bed rest afterward to prevent complications. No weight bearing for 6 to 8 weeks minimum. I called Brielle from my hospital bed around 4 p.m., still pretty out of it from the pain medication. When she picked up, I could hear music and voices in the background. She was getting her nails done with her sister Emerson, doing some final party prep. "Hey babe," I said, "I'm in the hospital, had an accident at work and broke my leg pretty bad. I'm going into surgery in about an hour." The line went quiet for like 10 seconds, then she exploded. "Are you fucking kidding me right now, Thad? Are you serious? This is going to ruin everything. Do you have any idea how much work I've put into tomorrow night? How much money I've spent? What am I supposed to tell everyone?" I was so shocked I couldn't even respond at first. I mean, I was laying there with my bone sticking out of my leg and she was worried about her party logistics. "Brielle, I didn't exactly plan this. The doctor says I need surgery and, well, figure something out. Can't you just take some pain pills and show up in a wheelchair or something? Use crutches. My photographer is coming at 6 p.m. for the couple shots we planned. All my friends are expecting to meet you. I've been talking about you for months." The doctor specifically said bed rest for at least a week. I could get an infection or the bones could shift if, "Oh my God, you're being so dramatic. It's just a broken leg. My cousin Tyler broke his ankle skateboarding and still went to his prom. You're acting like you're dying or something." I tried to explain that compound fractures are different, that there's exposed bone and infection risk, but she cut me off. "You know what? You're being a selfish asshole right now. This is the most important day of the year for me, and you're trying to ruin it with some work accident that probably could have been prevented if you were being more careful. I can't believe I have to deal with this shit right now. Brielle, please, I'm scared about the surgery and stop making this about you. Everything is always about you. I have 63 people coming tomorrow night, Thad. 63. My boss is coming. My college roommates flew in from Denver. My grandmother is driving up from Tucson. And now I have to explain why my boyfriend is too much of a baby to show up because of some little injury." That's when she said it. the line that made me realize I might be dating a complete psychopath. "You're such a pathetic embarrassment. I can't believe I have to deal with this right now. I should have known you'd find some way to ruin the most important night of my life. You probably did this on purpose because you were jealous of all the attention I've been getting." Then she hung up on me. While I was laying in a hospital bed, waiting for surgery, she hung up on me. The nurse came in a few minutes later to prep me for surgery, and she asked if I was okay because I was just staring at the ceiling. I told her my girlfriend was upset about missing a party, and this middle-aged nurse looked at me like I'd said my girlfriend was upset about missing her own funeral. "Honey," she said, "that's not normal upset. That's not normal at all." Surgery went fine. They got the bones set and cleaned everything up. I woke up around 8 p.m. with a cast from my toes to my thigh and strict orders not to put any weight on it for 6 weeks. The doctor said I was lucky, no nerve damage, and if I follow instructions, it should heal without complications. I texted Brielle when I got back to my room. Just simple stuff. "Surgery went well, staying overnight for observation, should be home tomorrow afternoon." She texted back 3 hours later. "Good. We need to talk about how you're going to fix this situation." I've been lying here all night thinking about that phone call. About how her first reaction to my medical emergency was anger at the inconvenience. About how she called me pathetic and embarrassing for getting hurt at work. About how she suggested I was faking the severity to ruin her party. My buddy Paxson stopped by around 10 p.m. Visiting hours were technically over, but he knows people. He brought me some decent coffee and listened to the whole story. When I finished, he just sat there for a minute, then said, "Dude, that's not how someone who loves you responds to you being hurt. That's not even how someone who likes you responds." I keep thinking maybe I'm overreacting because of the pain meds, but that nurse's face keeps coming back to me. The way she looked when I told her about Brielle's reaction. I'm getting discharged this afternoon and honestly dreading going home. Part of me wants to apologize for missing her party, but a bigger part of me is starting to wonder what kind of person I've been sharing a bed with for the past year and a half. Update 1. So I got home from the hospital Saturday around 3 p.m., hobbling on crutches with this massive cast. My downstairs neighbor Mrs. Smith helped me get inside and asked where Brielle was. When I told her she was getting ready for her party, Mrs. Smith gave me this look like I'd said Brielle was getting ready to rob a bank. Brielle came out of the bedroom around 4 p.m. wearing this stunning red dress I'd never seen before. She looked incredible, and for a second I thought maybe she'd realized how awful she'd been and was going to apologize, maybe suggest staying home to take care of me. Instead, she barely glanced at me and said, "I told everyone you had a minor accident but decided to stay home because you're being dramatic about it. Don't make me look like a liar." I was sitting on our couch with my leg elevated, still pretty sore despite the pain pills, and I just stared at her. "Brielle, that's not what happened. I have a compound fracture. The bone was literally sticking out of my skin." "Whatever, Thad. I'm not ruining my entire party because you want to play victim. I've been planning this for months, and I'm not letting your work accident destroy the most important night of my year." She grabbed her purse and headed for the door, then turned back like she'd forgotten something. "Oh, and I told my sister to post some stories tonight about how great everything is, so try not to text me unless it's an actual emergency. I don't want to be checking my phone all night dealing with your neediness." Then she left. Just walked out and left me alone, less than 24 hours after major surgery. I ordered some Chinese food and spent Saturday night on the couch watching Netflix with my leg propped up, checking Instagram like an idiot. Brielle's stories started around 7 p.m. and guys, I wish I could unsee what I saw. First story, her and her girlfriends doing shots with the caption, "When your girls show up for you." Second story, the rooftop venue looking amazing with the caption, "Months of planning paying off." Third story, her blowing out candles on this massive custom cake with the caption, "Birthday wishes do come true." But then came the one that made my stomach drop. A video of her and her friends at the bar, and you can hear her talking to someone off camera. "Yeah, my boyfriend was supposed to be here, but he got a little hurt at work and decided to stay home. He's being pretty dramatic about it, honestly. I think he's just not used to real injuries since he's usually behind a desk." Behind a desk. I run construction sites. I've shown her pictures of the commercial buildings I've supervised. She's met my crew multiple times. The comments on her posts were brutal for me to read. Her friends asking where I was, saying they were excited to finally meet me. Her responding to every single one with some variation of "he's fine, just didn't want to come out tonight." But here's where it gets really fucked up. Around 10 p.m., she posted a story that was just text over a black background. Sometimes people disappoint you on your most important days. Learning who really shows up for you. Sunday morning, I woke up to 17 text messages from random numbers, people who knew Brielle asking if I was okay, if we'd broken up, why I ditched her birthday. Apparently she'd been telling people all night that I chose not to come because I don't like her friends and wanted to ruin her special day. My phone was blowing up with messages like, "Bro, what happened? Brielle said you just decided not to show. Dude, that's cold, leaving your girl on her birthday. She's been crying all night saying you embarrassed her." I started screenshotting everything and sending back pictures of my cast with explanations of what actually happened. The responses were immediate. "Holy shit, man, she told us you had a minor cut. Wait, you're in the hospital and she went a party. That's fucked up, I'm so sorry." By Sunday afternoon, I had 6 people apologizing for believing her version and asking if I needed anything. But the damage was done. Her entire social circle now thinks I'm either a liar or an asshole, depending on which version they believe. Brielle came home Sunday around 2 p.m., clearly hungover, carrying leftover cake and acting like nothing happened. She plopped down on the couch next to me and started scrolling through photos from the night. "Look how great everything turned out," she said, showing me professional photos of her and her friends. "The photographer got some amazing shots. Oh, and everyone was asking about you." "Yeah, I know. I got a bunch of texts from your friends asking why I ditched you." She looked annoyed. "I told you I was handling it. I said you were fine but decided to stay home." "Brielle, you told people I was being dramatic about a minor injury. You said I work behind a desk. You made it sound like I chose not to come." "Well, you did choose not to come. You could have figured something out if you really wanted to be there." I just stared at her. This woman was doubling down on the idea that I should have attended a party less than 24 hours after emergency surgery for a compound fracture. I was literally in surgery Friday night. The doctor said bed rest for a week minimum. Doctors always exaggerate to cover themselves legally. You could have taken some strong pain pills and made an appearance. Even 30 minutes would have been enough for the couple photos. That's when I realized she wasn't sorry. She wasn't embarrassed about her behavior. She genuinely believed that her party was more important than my medical emergency, and that I was wrong for choosing the hospital over her birthday. I've been thinking about this for 2 days now, and I keep coming back to what some of you said in the comments about red flags. The thing is, this isn't completely out of character for her. She's always been focused on her image, always needed to be the center of attention, but I thought that was just confidence. Looking back now, I'm remembering other times when she made my problems about her inconvenience. Like when I had food poisoning last year and couldn't go to her company holiday party. She was mad for a week because she had to go alone. Or when my grandfather was in the hospital and I had to cancel our vacation plans. She was upset about losing the deposit money, not about my family situation. I think I've been making excuses for selfish behavior because she's beautiful and successful, and I thought I was lucky to be with her. But this weekend showed me something I can't unsee. My buddy Paxson is coming over tonight to help me meal prep for the week since I can barely get around on these crutches. He said if Brielle gives him any attitude about being here, he's going to have some words with her about basic human decency. Honestly, I'm scared about what comes next. We live together, have a lease until March, and I can't exactly move out easily with this cast. But I also can't stop thinking about how she hung up on me while I was waiting for surgery. Update 2, just got back from a follow-up appointment, still processing what happened yesterday. Had to help my buddy move this weekend, so sorry for the delay updating, but holy shit, this story gets worse. Doctor Sterling says my leg is healing well, no signs of infection, and I should be able to transition to a walking boot in about 4 weeks if I keep following orders. The good news is I can start doing some light work from home soon. The bad news is I just discovered what Brielle really thinks about our relationship, and it's not pretty. So yesterday, Tuesday, I was on the couch working on some project estimates when Brielle came home from work around 6 p.m. She seemed different, more agitated than usual. She dropped her bag, kicked off her heels, and just stood there staring at me for a minute. "We need to talk about the financial impact of your little accident," she said. I thought she meant like my medical bills or lost work time. Maybe she was worried about me contributing to rent this month since I'll be out of commission for a while. Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. My insurance should cover most of the hospital stuff, and I have some sick days saved up. I might be short on my half of rent this month, but I can. No, Thad, I'm talking about what you cost me this weekend. I must have looked confused because she grabbed her phone and started scrolling through what looked like receipts and notes. "The party venue charged me for your dinner since I couldn't cancel your plate 24 hours in advance. That's $75. The photographer was hired specifically for couple shots and had to improvise the whole session because you weren't there. I had to pay her full rate even though she couldn't deliver what we contracted for. That's another $300. I was just staring at her. "Brielle, you want me to pay you back for missing my own dinner while I was in surgery. I want you to take responsibility for the consequences of your choices. I also had to tip the bartender extra because my friends kept asking about you and it was awkward. Plus, I bought a new dress specifically for couple photos that are now worthless. And don't get me started on the emotional damage." Emotional damage. Do you have any idea how humiliating it was to explain your absence to 63 people? How many questions I had to answer? How many times I had to pretend like everything was fine when my boyfriend abandoned me on the most important night of my year? That word abandoned hit me like a truck. I abandoned her by getting hurt at work and following doctor's orders. Brielle, I didn't abandon you. I broke my leg in a work accident. I'm lucky I didn't break my neck or worse. That's very dramatic, but the reality is that you made a choice to prioritize a minor injury over supporting me, and that choice had financial consequences that I shouldn't have to absorb alone. I was getting angry now, which was making it hard to think clearly. Minor injury. Do you want to see the X-rays? Do you want to see the surgical reports? I want to see you take accountability instead of playing victim all the time. You made a bill for me being in the hospital. I made a list of the real-world consequences of your decision. I can't absorb a $600 loss because you decided to be dramatic about a work accident. Just then Paxson knocked. Perfect timing because I was about to lose it. When Brielle explained the bill to him, calling it consequences for my hospital dramatics, his face went from confused to disgusted to furious. "You're charging your boyfriend money for getting hurt at work. He chose to prioritize his job over my needs. If he'd been more careful, this wouldn't have happened. There are no accidents, only poor choices." Paxson stared at her like she'd grown a second head. He was doing his job. The ladder collapsed under him. He left me to face 63 people alone because he couldn't handle a minor setback. Paxson pulled me aside and whispered, "What the fuck is wrong with her? Normal people don't charge their injured partners for missing parties. If she's like this during a medical emergency, what happens when real life hits?" After he left, Brielle went to bed saying she was exhausted from trying to have a rational conversation. This morning, she left the bill on the counter with a note. "Payment plan options available if needed." Payment plan options. For attending my own medical emergency instead of her birthday party. I think I've been dating someone who sees other people's wins as her losses, other people's problems as her inconveniences, and other people's emergencies as personal attacks on her plans. The scary part is I've been making excuses for this behavior for 18 months. Telling myself she's ambitious, telling myself she's just focused on her goals, telling myself she's confident. But ambitious people don't charge their partners for medical emergencies. Confident people don't need to tear others down to feel good about themselves. Final update. So last update I mentioned that some of Brielle's friends had started reaching out to me. That turned into a flood of messages once people started comparing notes about what she'd told different people. Turns out her story had more holes than my leg after the accident. Annie, one of her college roommates who flew in from Denver, was the first to call me directly. She said Brielle had told her I was faking being hurt for attention, but when Annie asked to visit me in the hospital, Brielle said I was too embarrassed about overreacting to see anyone. Red flag number 1. Then Brown, a guy from her work, mentioned that Brielle had told him I was jealous of her success and tried to sabotage her party. But she'd also told him I was clumsy and accident-prone, always getting hurt for sympathy. When he asked how both things could be true, she got defensive and changed the subject. The breaking point came when her cousin Tyler called me directly. Turns out he never broke his ankle, just a bad sprain, no surgery, no compound fracture. When I told him what Brielle had said, he was pissed. Dude, she's been using my injury to minimize yours. I was on crutches for 3 days. You had actual surgery. By week 3, 7 people from the party reached out apologizing. They'd figured out Brielle's story didn't add up. Her friend Jessica dropped the biggest bomb. This isn't the first time. Her ex Mark had a panic attack during her graduation party, and she told everyone he was drunk and embarrassing. Turns out he was having a medical emergency, but she was mad he ruined her photos. That's when I realized this was a pattern, not a bad reaction to stress. The final straw came when Brielle's sister Emerson visited, wanting to mediate. She actually suggested I pay part of the expenses. If you really loved her, you would have found a way to make it work. That conversation showed me this wasn't just Brielle being selfish, it was a whole family that normalized treating emergencies as inconveniences. Moving out was complicated with my cast, but Paxson helped me find a place. When I told Brielle I was leaving, she seemed shocked. You're throwing away 18 months over one bad night? It wasn't one bad night. It was demanding I pay for missing your party while in surgery. It was lying to your friends. I didn't lie. I presented my perspective. Your perspective was cruel. Then I met Journey Blake from one of our subcontractors. When she saw my walking boot and I explained what happened, her first response was, "Oh my God, are you okay? Do you need anything?" Not how it affected her plans, just genuine concern. She started bringing me coffee, offered rides to appointments, brought homemade soup when I looked tired. Last week when I told her about Brielle's reaction, she said quietly, "That's not love. Someone who loves you doesn't make your pain about their inconvenience." At dinner last night, she insisted on paying because of my medical bills and asked if my leg was bothering me. Such normal, caring behavior that I almost cried. This is what it feels like when someone actually gives a shit about your well-being. I'm not saying we're riding into the sunset, but being around someone who treats me like a human being instead of an inconvenience has been eye-opening. For 18 months, I'd forgotten what actual love looked like. My leg is healing well. I'm back to light work duties and should be cleared for full construction activity in another month. Physical therapy is a pain in the ass, but every session reminds me how lucky I am that the damage wasn't worse. More importantly, every day reminds me how lucky I am that I found out who Brielle really was before I made any bigger commitments. Imagine if I'd proposed to someone who charges her partner's money for medical emergencies. Imagine if I'd had kids with someone who sees other people's pain as personal inconvenience. Sometimes the worst things that happen to you turn out to be the best things that could have happened to you. Breaking my leg sucked, but it broke me free from a relationship that was slowly destroying my sense of what normal love looks like. She called my broken leg an embarrassment. Turns out the embarrassment was staying with someone who saw my pain as her inconvenience.